That is not a typo. In April 2025, Jaguar sold 49 cars across the entire European continent. Not 49,000, not 4,900. 49. One of the oldest and most storied names in automotive history. A brand that won Le Mans 5 times, the maker of the E-Type. A car so beautiful that Enzo Ferrari himself reportedly called it the most gorgeous automobile ever made. Sold 49 cars in a single month across a continent of 450 million people. And almost nobody is talking about it. But before I tell you how Jaguar ended up here, I need you to hold one question in your mind. What happens when the biggest threat to a company is not a competitor, not a technology shift, not a recession, but the company itself? Every other brand I have covered in this series lost to someone else. Porsche lost to Chinese technology. Mercedes lost to buyers choosing local brands. Jaguar lost to a 30-second video. And the way that happened is something nobody saw coming, even though the warning signs were there for years. I will show you exactly what was in that video in a moment. But first, you need to understand what Jaguar actually was before it decided to stop being it. Jaguar was never just a car company. For decades, it was a promise, speed, elegance, and a kind of British audacity that left rivals flat-footed. The badge alone, a leaping cat frozen mid-pounce, became a symbol of aspiration. In the 1950s, Jaguar's C-Type and D-Type conquered Le Mans 5 times, beating the world's best with a blend of engineering nerve and design purity. In 1961, the E-Type stunned Geneva. The car's impossibly long bonnet, its sculpted haunches, the glint of chrome, Enzo Ferrari himself is said to have called it the most beautiful car ever made. Whether or not he uttered those exact words, the legend stuck, feeding a mythology that outlasted any one model or era. Owning a Jaguar meant buying into this mythology. For the loyalist, the car was more than transport. It was a statement, a declaration that you valued subtle power and a certain kind of old-world glamour. The Heritage Trust archives are filled with letters and testimonials from owners who saw the leaping cat as a personal totem. Dr. Emma Baxter, curator at the British Motor Museum, described the badge as a psychic anchor, a promise of agility, poise, and confidence that set Jaguar apart from the German precision of BMW or the clinical efficiency of Mercedes. This emotional contract, forged on racetracks and in design studios, held for generations. It built a customer base defined by loyalty, pride, and a willingness to forgive flaws that would doom lesser brands. When Jaguar stumbled, its buyers waited. When the cars rusted or the electronics failed, they shrugged and wrote checks for another. That kind of devotion is rare. It is also fragile. Because once a brand breaks faith with its own story, the numbers start to matter. And that is when betrayal becomes personal. Numbers do not forgive. In 2018, Jaguar moved 180,000. 833 cars worldwide, a modern peak that still carried the scent of Le Mans and the E-Type's promise. By the end of the 2024 to 2025 fiscal year, that number had collapsed to just 26,862. That is not a dip. That is an 85% free fall, a vanishing act measured in 6 figures. The descent did not slow. From January through April 2025, Jaguar managed to sell only 2,665 cars globally, less than what BMW or Audi might move in a single morning across Europe. The data reads like an autopsy. Each year, tens of thousands of loyalists simply vanished. Each quarter, the brand's presence shrank from showrooms to footnotes. Profitability followed the same path. On the fiscal third quarter earnings call for fiscal year 2025 to 2026, Chief Financial Officer Adrian Mardell told analysts that Jaguar was operating with near-zero profitability after a brutal first half. The company's own reports confirm it. Operating margins were erased and cash flow evaporated. The old business model, built on a shrinking lineup and aging platforms, was running on fumes. No rescue was coming from the market, no late surge, no miracle model. The only thing left was the pivot. When a brand built on legend starts losing money on every car, the story changes from nostalgia to survival. And that is how Jaguar found itself staring down the barrel of reinvention, with the numbers spelling out the urgency in black and red. Jaguar's executive team didn't just pivot. They detonated the bridge to their own past. The reimagined strategy, unveiled with corporate fanfare in 2021, was more than a plan. It was an ultimatum: abandon combustion, skip hybrids entirely, and leap straight into a future of battery-powered ultra-luxury. No halfway measures, no gradual transition, no safety net of familiar models. The message was clear: Jaguar would no longer chase BMW or Mercedes. The new target was a customer who could write a check above £100,000 without blinking. The entry ticket to the next Jaguar would not be a lease deal or a midlife splurge. It would be a six-figure commitment, positioning the brand in rarefied air alongside Bentley and Rolls-Royce. This was not a calculated evolution. It was a cliff dive. The entire combustion lineup, XE, XF, F-Type, even the I-Pace's hybrid dreams, was swept aside before a single new electric model was ready for delivery. The showroom went dark. For months there was nothing to sell but aging inventory and the promise of a future grand tourer that existed only as a rendering. The old customer, the 55-year-old loyalist who had bought 4 Jaguars in 30 years, found himself staring at empty order sheets and a price band he couldn't or wouldn't follow. Leadership pitched the gamble as visionary. But the numbers told a harsher story: near zero profitability, collapsing volumes, and a market gap so wide that even the most devoted dealers struggled to keep the lights on. The stakes? Everything. If the all-in-electric vehicle bet failed, there would be no second act. The next move had to be flawless, not just in engineering, but in storytelling. That is why the relaunch campaign, the 30-second video that would try to erase a century's worth of DNA, became the most consequential roll of the dice in Jaguar's history. The campaign landed like a punchline. In November 2024, Jaguar's 30-second copy-nothing film hit the airwaves, a fevered dream of abstract visuals, fashion models, and not a single car in sight. The leaping cat vanished, replaced by a minimalist wordmark and a tagline that dared the world to forget everything it thought it knew: copy nothing. Within hours, the backlash was everywhere. On X, the hashtag #CopyNothing trended for all the wrong reasons: Autocar, Motor Trend, and thousands of everyday drivers piled on, skewering the ad's refusal to show a car. The sentiment score was negative 0.54, a collapse measured in real time by Brandwatch's AI. Then came the knockout blow. Elon Musk, never one to miss a shot, fired off a 4-word tweet that said, "Do you sell cars?" 42,000 likes in a day, and the message was clear: Jaguar had become a punchline to its own joke. Accenture Song, the creative agency behind the campaign, had bet everything on cultural cachet and the art world's approval. But the numbers told a different story. Dealer foot traffic dropped, test drive bookings cratered, and a coalition of UK retailers demanded answers. On Reddit and PistonHeads, loyalists mocked the ad's high-minded ambitions. One top comment asked, "If I can't see a car, why would I buy one?" Brand affinity, the metric that was supposed to climb by 8 points, barely budged. Instead, intent to buy went negative. Jaguar, a brand forged on Le Mans grit and the E-Type silhouette, had lost to a 30-second video. The rupture wasn't theoretical anymore. It was playing out on every screen and showroom floor. Dealers watched the numbers collapse in real time. The internal portal showed test drive bookings down 27% from the previous fall, with foot traffic and inbound leads following the same downward spiral. By May 2025, Jaguar's partnership with Accenture Song was over. It was terminated quietly after the campaign's performance missed every contractual target. A procurement filing at Companies House listed the agency agreement as ended, effective April 30th. Meanwhile, a ransomware attack in August cost the company £200 million in direct response and forced a 5-day production freeze, compounding the pain. The third quarter financial release made it clear: £1.2 billion in operating losses, nearly half of that blamed on the cyber breach. While Jaguar registered just 49 cars in Europe that April, BMW and Audi sold over 60,000 each. The gulf was not just in sales, it was in survival. Jaguar's future now hangs on a single number: £160,000. That is the entry price for the electric Grand Tourer, set to arrive in 2027. It will be the first new model since the combustion lineup was swept away. No hybrids, no bridge, just a leap straight into the ultra-luxury void. The plan is as stark as the showroom. Target the rarefied air of Bentley and Rolls-Royce. The old customer base, those who kept the brand alive through decades of loyalty, stands on the outside, priced out and uninvited. Can a company that once sold 180,000 cars a year find enough buyers at 6 figures to justify its own survival? Or has Jaguar, lost to a 30-second video and a vanished mythology, built a future that nobody is waiting for? In April, only 49 cars crossed the line in Europe. The next chapter costs over 3,000 times that, and the world is left waiting for someone, anyone, to sign the check. Jaguar once defined British ambition. Now it's a brand outmaneuvered by its own marketing, losing to a 30-second video and the echo of copy nothing. 49 cars isn't just a number, it's the vanishing point for a legend. Who buys a £160,000 electric Jaguar in 2027? No one knows.